Indiana Jones, Indiana. It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute, the podcast in which we celebrate and discuss the film Raiders of the Lost Ark 1 minute at a time. I'm Tom Taylor.
I'm Pete Mummert.
I'm Jerry Porter.
And today we are joined by comedy writer and friend of mine, Eric Drysdale. Welcome, Eric.
Hi, Tom, and everybody.
We're glad to have you here. Eric, you've been busy writing for shows like the Colbert Report and the Daily Show and
The Late Show, yes.
And the Late Show. That's awesome.
Yep.
I accidentally found you on TV once after I hadn't seen you for 10 years or so, and it was exciting.
Nice. And you came into the city and we had a nice reunion.
We did.
Yeah.
I'll have to find you on a TV show again sometime.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay.
Behind the scenes.
Perfect. Today we are discussing minute 31. And minute 31 begins with Marion letting Toht know that no one tells her what to do in her place. And it ends with the start of a crazy shootout in a bar.
Now, I've had a question about this scene since 1981.
Okay.
Is Toht's henchman named Nick? Because he says Nick, or maybe is it Mick or Ick? And I wondered before all this happened, when they're standing outside the bar, is Toht like, okay, Nick, come here. Look, if this stuff goes south, she doesn't cough up the headpiece. When I yell your name, I want you to menacingly grab Marion and expose her cheek for me to come up. But it's when I call your name.
I think this is basic henchman stuff. I don't think that you have to telegraph these instructions to an experienced henchman.
I agree.
Okay, but now I would...
Well, see, Jer's not going to believe me that the guy's name is not Nick and that he doesn't say Nick. So can someone else please explain to Jerry that maybe he's saying something in German or something to the effect of grabber?
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
Actually, the German word, if he were to say grabber, would say Nim. So that does sound like Nick.
Well, but if you're, according to some online bio garbage, remember Toht had hired the henchman in Kathmandu.
Yeah, I wondered about. Yeah, I remember you said that last week, and the one guy definitely seems like a local or something.
Well, they're either that good, as you said, Eric, like, oh, that's just henchman 101, or it's like, well, maybe they've worked together for a while and they just have a good flow. Toht and Nick have a good thing going on. Yeah. And he's like, I'm gonna hire 2 or 3 other guys when I get there, but Nick, you're coming with me.
Right.
We're going to Nepal.
And he does seem like a local.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're right that henchmen, they probably know the physical language of the main bad guy.
Even if he's a mercenary.
Sure, yeah, because he's had other bosses before, and they've been menacing, and okay, this is the part where he comes on kind of cool and friendly, and this is the part where he sort of acts distracted, and then as soon as he says something loud, I'll know that I'm supposed to, get physical.
And he's like, oh, he's got like a red hot poker with, a charcoal bit. I bet he's going to go for the face. And from what I knew on the yak ride over here, this guy is going to actually. So let me give him a good angle here.
Yeah, the Germans always get sadistic. I got to watch out for this one.
And the most sadistic thing is he does the thing like when you're a kid and you put the flashlight under your chin so it lights, like when you tell a ghost story. Like, it's exactly. He's got a flashlight, I swear, under his chin in this scene.
He makes it look scary, and then she crosses her eyes.
Yeah. Well, she's keeping her attention on that poker that's inches from her face. By the way, I tried that once when I was a kid. I left the poker in the fireplace to see if it would start glowing.
Because of the movie?
Absolutely because of the movie.
Wow.
And it actually worked, and I did not burn my house down. I was like, oh, this is a terrible idea. I'm just going to leave this over here for a while until it cools off. But it actually did start glowing. I was very excited.
Wow. It's a good thing. Did you have a sister?
I did.
Oh, well,
at that point,
she's a lucky sister.
She is. That time is past. There is one thing that happens here that illustrates how awful pan and scan was in our youth.
Oh, yeah.
That beautiful shot where he is on the far left of the screen poking at the fire, and in the background and on the right, she is behind the bar with Nick. I'm just going to call him Nick, I guess. With Nick behind her, and he does his knit, and he grabs her at the same time, and it looks awesome. But even as I see it now, the correct way, in my head somewhere I'm seeing like the pan and scan version.
Yep.
And it makes me dizzy.
Yeah.
There's going to be whole generations of kids who who don't even know what pan and scan is.
I feel like I knew not to watch the movie that way, like from the beginning.
Yeah. But you sort of didn't have a choice for a while. That was home video. Unless
you had a laser disc, yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I guess I must have.
Well, there's
but
another
I can't
thing.
Say that,
oh, go ahead.
I can't say that I enjoyed it. It wasn't memorable.
You were cool enough to know that it was bad.
Yeah.
And when Toht is holding up the flashlight under his chin, you see a characteristic. He's sweating like a pig.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like a Nazi pig. I'll just go for it. He's sweating like a Nazi pig.
You're
and
allowed
you're like,
to say that.
That makes sense. He's just over the fireplace and everything. But what I noticed, and I am jumping ahead a little bit, but the directors, whoever directed this movie, was like, this Toht guy, we're gonna show him sweating profusely.
Yeah.
Like more than one scene. It's not just going to be like, he's over the fireplace. It's like, no, it's part of his persona. It's like a superpower.
We should put this guy in the desert and see what happens.
Yeah. He's sweating like a pig in Nepal.
Yeah.
It makes him he's sweating nefariously.
And it's sort of like ties to how he dies.
Right. Of all the people to die that way, it was the guy who was clearly having trouble.
Like, I was thinking that, and this is like, getting into film school shit, but like the fact that Toph starts the fire.
Yeah.
I think that's a really interesting part of the story of how Toth ends up in the right place. How Toth ends up in the wrong place.
Right. He's the architect of his own. He starts the
fire that causes him to have the thing burned in his hand.
See?
God, I love that. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
And then he dies by fire at the end.
Yeah.
Like he dies by the fire he started.
It's funny, like, I know that there were versions of this before the final cut. I think in the novelization and like the comic book adaptation, he didn't make it all the way to that opening of the Ark scene. He went off the cliff during the truck chase. And
the movie's much better.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we've been finding right along. We've been hearing, little bits of things that were in the screenplay and stuff that didn't make it into the movie, and almost every decision they've made has been for the better of stuff that they've left out or changed.
Well, that's why there's Steven Spielberg and George Lucas.
See? They know what they're doing. Those guys are going to go
far. Pete and Tom, did you guys just notice something? That's something that we've been discussing, and I have a question for Eric.
Yes.
You know the guy, the Nazi sweaty pig guy that we're talking about, who's holding the poker up?
Yeah.
What is his name?
Is it Toth?
That's very close, and there's no reason why you would know that, know what it would actually is.
We had this discussion like last minute or a few minutes ago. We kept calling him. Well, Tom, you called him Toht as a kid.
Yeah.
And then somewhere it morphed into Toht.
It's Toht. Like, that's how it's spelled in the credits. That's all you have to go on.
I have no idea.
Because they never say it in the movie at all. It's like Lobot.
Yeah.
It's exactly like Lobot.
And then, and so you don't know, but everybo's calling him Toht or Toht, and you're like, what? And then I thought, well, Pete, hell, you speak German. What's his name?
Well, and we know it's not a German name, but I think they meant it as a pun because Toht sounds like Toht, which means dead.
Oh, right.
Oh, interesting.
And like in making of stuff, they'll say it as Toht.
Yeah.
But I love that Eric called him Toht.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I called him as a kid, too.
We were all kids once.
And the point is, no one knows what the hell his name is.
Yeah.
You don't need to. I got to say one thing from watching, especially this week's worth of minutes, 1 minute at a time. It reminded me. I mean, you watch these movies so many times for over your entire life, and even the awesome parts you kind of are so familiar with, you kind of gloss over them. But watching this guy Toht this whole time, Toht. I already forgot how to pronounce it. Watching Sweaty Mick Lobot, I'm reminded that as a kid, I was blown away by him. He's so weird and so scary.
Yep.
And so like, he looks like a math teacher, and he's sweaty, and he seems like kind of a wimp, but he's so scary and crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I can't think of another character exactly like him from any other movie.
See, I really like the sweating part because we were talking about last week how when Marion turns the headpiece, it kind of makes the flame flicker, the candle flame flicker, and it's like the Ark all of a sudden knows what's going to happen. Like it sort of has a forewarning, and now it's like, well, we're gonna start Totes melting now.
Yeah, right. and he really starts it by it's driven by his greed and his impatience to get a hold of this thing, and Marion represents the idea of like family. And one of the things that I love about the movie, looking back on it, is that he was such a good. So many movies were anti-intellectual, and this guy is like a professor, and she's like carrying on for her professor dad, and it's super endearing.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And if you read the, there's like, I think we have it on our website, or we're going to, the sort of transcripts of story conferences with George Lucas and Steven Spielberg and Lawrence Kasdan. Lucas actually talks about that, about how, we open the movie with him like in this adventure setting, like in South America or something, and then we cut to Washington or someplace where he's a professor. And, so it's these two completely different sides to him. He's this intellectual guy with a tie and everything, and then he's also this crazy adventurer. So that's cool that was, central to the character from the very beginning.
And one thing we've been talking about is at least a couple of us were sort of weird kids who liked school. And it was sort of a liberating thing that there's this guy who's a professor and he's smart, but he's the cool guy.
Yeah, not me.
Were girls not writing "love you" on their eyelids directed at you?
I didn't say we were good at school. I just said we liked it.
Okay.
I didn't have neither.
If you were good at school, the chicks would have been all over you.
Well, did you go through a phase, Eric, when you're like, I want to be an archaeologist? At least maybe for a weekend.
Like after that, you mean?
Yeah,
No,
like you saw the movie and...
I may have wanted to be a filmmaker.
Oh, sure.
More than anything. Like, when I was thinking about what I took away from it, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that counts.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I wanted to be an archaeologist as much as I wanted to be like a deep sea diver or a policeman or a cowboy or something. But it did seem cool.
Well, an archaeologist was all those things wrapped up in one. And
I guess so.
And more.
I want to be a James Bond when I grow up.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Well, that's what an archaeologist is.
He's so much cooler than James Bond. It's crazy.
Yeah. That's the other thing we've been learning, is that this guy was... They were trying in earlier versions to shoehorn him as more of a James Bond kind of womanizing creep.
Yeah.
And that they slowly chipped that away, it seems like, all for the better.
Yeah.
And what's so great about his character, especially Harrison Ford playing Indiana Jones, is there's this haphazard nature to him. That's not. It's the opposite of smooth in James Bond.
Mm-hmm. He can look cool and he can seem cool, but he might also trip over his shoelace trying to jump over a thing.
Well, because he's thinking about the thing.
Right.
He's thinking about, getting his hands on the thing.
Yeah.
And he's not a guy that you think has a planner.
No.
And sticks to it. He's not like, oh, next Tuesday I got that oil change.
He does have office hours. Oh, that's next.
Yeah, but he changes them. He even calls an audible at the end of class. He's like, I'll be in my office on Thursday, but not Wednesday.
Yeah.
It's like, so he even messes up that.
And why would he even attempt to make that kind of a schedule when he's going to be, halfway around the world probably?
I mean, you have to have, if he's at an institution like that, you have to publish. Like, you can't.
Right.
You can't just run around all the time. Like, you have to teach your students and mentor your students and.
Yeah.
Well, see, this brings us to another great discussion we've been having on the minutes. When you say when you're at an institution like that, you need to publish. What institution?
Oh, I guess, I don't know. Is it a college? It must be. We don't see archaeology in high school.
No, yeah. Where is it? Just go with your gut. Where is it?
Is there an answer to this?
There is.
No.
Oh, really?
Yes, there is.
Yeah, no, there is. There is.
Absolutely.
Tom and I have been duking it out, and Pete's on my team.
You're both
and
dummies.
we just, don't give it away. Where is the school?
I know it. Am I supposed
know
to
it.
guess?
Like what part of the country?
I would say Northeast.
Oh, would you?
You fucking New Englanders.
It only says it in the screenplay, in the novelization, in the role-playing game.
Oh, where is it?
It is. It's in Connecticut. It's in like Bristol or something. It's Marshall College, which I assume is made up, but it's definitely in New England.
Stockton, California.
Yeah, like he definitely like he definitely had to like do a year of work on some artifact the year before.
Yeah.
Well, you bring up a good point.
Wasn't as exciting to go get as the Lost Ark.
Right. He had to sort of work up to that.
Well, and I think, you either publish or perish.
Yes.
But I think he has some sort of, he's in cahoots with Marcus, where they sell, he sells trinkets or idols or artifacts or swords of destiny, whatever, to the museum. And it's never ill-gotten booty. It's all, above board. And maybe that's how he gets out of that publish or perish, trap.
It does seem he's more soldier of fortune than legitimate academic professor. Like he probably does have more trophies than published articles or anything. That's probably fine with him. And it works for the movie.
I get the sense that he's, I think one of the lessons is that he survives because he has the knowledge, like that he did the homework.
Yeah. Yeah, there are some places we've seen so far where, like, he probably could have done a little more homework. He could have learned Havidos. That's one we keep coming back to.
Okay.
But, no, but definitely, yeah, he knows the stories and he knows what to expect. And, yeah, he seems to have a respect for the stuff he's going after, even if he doesn't always have a rock-solid plan about it.
Well, and even if he doesn't have the answer, for instance, with the headpiece, he knows the guy who does have the answer.
Oh, yeah. He's connected.
And that's a skill set in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
He's like Abner Ravenwood's the one who really knows his stuff.
But he's a scholar who's a part of a peer group of scholars.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I guess there is kind of like this weird... There's this little bit of underground, of like a kind of artifact hustling underground as well.
Yeah.
Well, we've been unearthing that as we, minute by minute by minute. You're like, there may be like Marcus is, maybe he's a fence or there's a gray market for this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or again, like you have to sell off items to finance your research.
Yeah, yeah. There's some, it's like, put one in the museum, sell 5 to keep yourself going. To get back to this exact minute for just a second, there is something in here that I never noticed before. And I thought it was just like a mistake when I first saw it, but I realized it's actually a specific part of the action.
I know exactly what you're going to say.
Oh, really? This is exciting. I love this stuff.
Yeah.
Indy's, it's a standoff. He's like, let her go. And you see a shadow in the background of the guy with like the Tommy gun. And I never noticed that shadow before, but that's actually what starts the shootout, because that guy's sort of moving in and Indy shoots at him and then everyone goes berserk. Is that what you're going to say?
We're not that good friends as I thought.
Well, you've got other qualities.
No, there is a lot more going on in this entire bar scene with the shadows. And the shadows, I agree, the shadows provide some of the, the gunfight plot movement.
Yeah.
That I never noticed before.
Right.
Yeah.
These are particularly good minutes to look at 1 minute at a time.
Yeah, they're really good. They're really, really good minutes.
Yeah.
Is the whole movie this good?
It's actually, you should check it out. It's actually really a good movie.
I actually purposefully only did these 5 minutes. I didn't go and revisit it. I probably haven't seen it in 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, me neither. I haven't looked beyond, the minutes that we're currently doing or anything for just that reason, just to kind of keep it. I mean, I have the whole thing in my head anyway. Right. But I forgot about this. Another thing I noticed is as soon as everybody, freaks and starts heading for their corners, Marion, in getting away from Toht, deliberately knocks his hat off. Like, as if that's the purpose of her moment.
Wait,
right
are
there.
we still in this minute?
I think so.
Oh, yeah. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, no.
It's like she delivers the gravest of insults.
So
especially in Nepal, where the hats, we already established hats are like a big thing. And it's like the firefight erupts, and it's like, and it's like, let me get his hat.
He'll look stupid without his hat. But that's almost the end of the minute, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's like basically right when it ends.
Yep, she knocks the hat off.
Well, there's one thing I noticed, and is he a southpaw?
Oh. Well, wait a minute. Are we into that yet?
No, it's let her go. It's like whoops, and you see the whip, and you kind of hear the whip. I don't think you really see it, do you?
Yeah,
I don't think you do.
I mean, God, the bullwhip is so well done in this movie. You don't even see it, but you know what happened.
Yeah.
And maybe that's indicative because if he's not left-handed, he has this gun in his left hand. And you're like, if he's not left-handed, I mean, and I thought, okay, I'm walking in the door. I'm going to have to save, Marion. It's like, which am I going to want? Am I going to want the gun? If I'm right-handed, am I going to want the gun in my right hand? But then you have to be really, really agile with a whip in the left. I feel like that would require more finesse and agility. So they're like, okay, no, wait. Let me put the whip in the right hand, and then by that time, everybody's dead, and the Nazis have the.
You put out your own eye with the whip.
But I wondered, is he because he has the gun in his left hand, and he just struck with the whip.
Yeah. Well, that's probably I don't know. Is it easier to train yourself with a gun with the wrong hand or with a bullwhip? I don't know.
Well, that's my point. I would think the gun is the easiest because you pull the trigger. And you're not doing a big sweeping motion. And
right. And by the way, once this gunfight starts, does he have to okay, time out, and he's going to recoil his whip and get it back on his belt and stuff and, okay, go.
He doesn't use it again in this scene.
No, he doesn't. You're right. So it's like, I don't know, does he drop it and then get it later or...
But yeah, is he left-handed or right-handed? I don't know. I mean, I'm
going to say he's right, but that he needs to use both hands right now, and he just made a decision. Because, I think he used the whip and still had it out, but then he also needed his gun on the guys.
Yeah.
I'm doing the whip motion as I say whip, by the way. You can't see that.
Or he thinks of the gun as a last resort.
Right. Or even like, I don't have to use the gun. I just have to show the gun after I've disarmed him with the whip. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going with that.
We'd make excellent gunfighters.
Yeah.
we got it all figured out. All right. Well, why don't we put an end to minute 31 right now, because a lot of awesome stuff happens in 32. But Eric, do you want to come back tomorrow and talk to us some more?
Yes, absolutely. I'll come back tomorrow, just like Brett Summers on Match Game came back tomorrow.
Yeah, go put on a different tie.
Yeah,
and come back tomorrow.
Will do.
Get a good night's sleep. Have a healthy breakfast. Pete, where can people find us online if they want to find out what we're going to have for breakfast?
You can find out what we're having for breakfast and our episodes and anything about them at IndianaJonesMinute.com. And come join us on Facebook as well. Just look up Indiana Jones Minute and we'll be there.
And join us right here at the same station tomorrow for minute 32 of Raiders of the Lost Ark here on the Indiana Jones Minute. Yet!